There comes a moment in every man's life when temptation arrives, disguised as admiration. You may be in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. You've seen the world, carried scars and victories, and suddenly, a younger woman turns her attention toward you. It feels electric, like youth again. But this is where many men fall, not because of her, but because they forget who they are. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Yet many men abandon their ambitions the moment a younger woman notices them. Instead of standing firm in the strength built over decades, they shrink, trying to fit into her world. They laugh at jokes they don't understand, pretend to know trends they don't care about, dress younger than they are. Now, in that instant, she no longer sees a man, she sees a boy performing for approval. Attraction dies not in her eyes, but in your surrender. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Your years, your struggles, your calm presence, these are your power. They make you magnetic. When you throw them away to chase relevance, you trade strength for weakness. Picture this. You're at dinner, and she mentions her favorite 23-year-old influencer. Most men nod along, pretending they follow. But the Stoic response is simple. Smile and say, "I don't spend much time on passing trends. I value conversations that last." In that one line, you show what youth cannot: depth, stability, presence. That difference is what draws her closer, Epictetus said. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Do not fear seeming out of touch with her world. Fear instead losing your own. Because the paradox is this: the less you try to be her, the more she feels your gravity. So, do not perform. Do not shrink. Stand tall in the wisdom you've earned. A younger woman doesn't need another mirror of herself. She needs a mountain and moved. Steady, commanding respect. The man who remembers this will never lose his edge. There's another silent trap many older men fall into: becoming the emotional sponge for a younger woman. At first it feels noble. She shares her struggles: an ex who mistreated her, parents who were absent, childhood wounds still unhealed. And you, with your maturity, step in to listen. You feel useful, maybe even chosen. But slowly, you stop being a man and start being her therapist. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Yet when you absorb her chaos without limits, you're not becoming better. You're becoming drained. This is not attraction. It's emotional outsourcing. She unloads her storms on you, while you confuse her dependence with love. What you think is intimacy is often just convenience. A real Stoic man does not get pulled into someone else's turbulence. He remains calm, offering presence without losing himself. Imagine she calls you at midnight, crying about another crisis. Most men dive into fixing, trying to soothe her pain. The grounded man listens, acknowledges, and says, "That sounds heavy. I hope you give yourself space to sort it out." One line: calm, present, but unentangled. She feels heard, but you keep your center, Epictetus advised. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction defines whether you remain respected or become just another caretaker she leans on until someone else excites her. By rescuing too much, you teach her to rely on you for stability instead of building her own. And once you become her crutch, desire fades. Picture Paul, man in his late 40s. He kept answering calls from a younger woman who was always in tears over other men. He thought being available would win her heart. Instead, she saw him as a safety net, not a partner. The day he stopped picking up, the dynamic shifted. For the first time, she realized his presence was not guaranteed, and that made her respect him. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Remember, your calm presence is valuable. Don't waste it as a sponge for someone else's chaos. Be there, but don't be consumed." A younger woman doesn't need a rescuer. She needs to feel the weight of a man who won't surrender his peace. One of the quietest killers of attraction between an older man and a younger woman is the chase for validation. It doesn't begin as desperation. Starts with small shifts, a compliment too often, a softened standard. Waiting hours for her reply as if it defines your worth. Before long, you are no longer leading. You are orbiting her world, hoping she approves. Marcus Aurelius observed, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." When you hunger for her approval, you surrender your power. She no longer sees a man, she sees a performer. And performers may be entertaining, but they are rarely respected. Epictetus reminded us, if you seek truth, you will not seek to please everyone. Attraction isn't built on constant agreement. It's built on presence, stability, and the courage to stand firm. A Stoic man doesn't bend his values just to hold someone's attention. He lives them, whether others approve or not. Consider Tom, a 48-year-old man who began dating a woman 20 years younger. At first, their connection was genuine. But soon he tried 2 hard, expensive dinners, endless compliments, sacrificing his truth for her comfort. She eventually told him, "I just don't feel the spark anymore." What she really meant was, "You lost your edge." Months later, after Tom returned to his mission training, building his business, living with purpose, the same woman reached out. This time he didn't need her approval, and she felt the difference. Seneca warned, "He who seeks approval, from all will find it, from none." The paradox is clear. The more you chase validation, the less respect you command. But when you hold your ground, you offer something far more powerful, someone worth rising to meet. So if she delays a reply, do not panic. If she tests your center, do not bend. Continue your path, your mission, your growth. For the man who stands firm in self-respect never loses. Either she aligns with your strength or she drifts away. In both outcomes, you remain whole. There is a subtle mistake many older men make when dealing with younger women, trying to impress rather than lead. Modern dating encourages men to perform lavish dinners, clever texts, flashy gestures. The moment you aim to impress, you shift from masculine to performative. You put her in the position of judge, while you play the contestant. Attraction weakens the second you surrender the frame. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." True presence does not beg for applause. Stoic man does not try to dazzle. He simply embodies stability and direction. When you attempt to win her favor, you reveal insecurity. But when you move with purpose, she feels strength. Imagine meeting a younger woman for coffee. Most men highlight their careers, cars, or travels. They talk to impress. But the grounded man does something different. He sits calmly, listens deeply, and asks about her values. He doesn't speak to win, he speaks to connect. He doesn't perform, he leads with presence. And she leans in, not because he sparkled, but because he was anchored. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Leadership is not arrogance. It is decisiveness, saying, "Let's do this," instead of endlessly asking, "What do you want to do?" It's holding steady when she tests boundaries, staying calm when she stirs drama, and showing direction without seeking permission. This is emotional leadership, the rare quality that makes a younger woman trust an older man. Consider Drew, a man in his 50s. His younger partner once teased, "You'd be more attractive if you dressed younger." The old Drew might have changed his wardrobe to please her. But this time he simply smiled and said, "I like the way I move." He didn't flinch. He didn't defend. And her respect deepened not because he agreed, but because he didn't. Seneca warned, "It is not the man who asks too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." Likewise, craving her admiration makes you weak. Standing firm in your own standard makes you magnetic. Do not chase her with shiny gestures. Lead with the quiet confidence of a man who knows who he is, because in the end, men who impress may win attention for a night. But men who lead earn respect that lasts. There is a hidden danger when an older man meets a younger woman, projecting long-term fantasies too soon. She's beautiful, full of life, and suddenly your mind races ahead: vacations, family dinners, even marriage. But in that rush, you stop. Seeing her clearly, you no longer observe who she is. You imagine who you hope she will be, Epictetus warned. When you are about to put your hand to something, remind yourself what it is. Dating is not fantasy building. It is observation. The moment you project too far ahead, you lose presence. And presence is the very thing that makes you attractive. You start excusing red flags, minimizing real differences, and tolerating what you would never accept because you've already fallen in love with a dream. Take Dean, a successful man in his 50s. Within weeks of meeting a woman in her 20s, he convinced himself she could be the one. He rearranged his schedule, delayed business plans, and built a future in his mind. She was inconsistent, sometimes affectionate, often distant. When she eventually left, Dean wasn't grieving her. He was grieving the castle of illusions he built alone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Dean's pain wasn't about losing her. It was about losing the picture he painted. The lesson is clear. Reality must weigh more than fantasy. A Stoic man watches patterns, not promises. He doesn't plan a lifetime before he's seen how she handles disappointment, conflict, or responsibility. Imagine you're dating a young woman and everything feels exciting. Instead of asking, "What if this lasts forever?" ask yourself, "What is she showing me now?" If she is respectful, consistent, and aligned with your values, time will prove it. If not, no dream can make it real, Seneca said. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Wasting months on fantasies is a theft of your most precious resource, time. A grounded man doesn't surrender it easily, remains present, sees with clarity, and lets reality, not imagination, guide his steps. There's a hard truth many men ignore. Sometimes you are not her priority. You are her backup plan. She keeps you close enough to feel supported, but never close enough to commit. You become the safety net she uses when the man she truly wants isn't around. If you're not careful, you'll mistake attention for affection. Seneca warned, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." But when you allow yourself to be her fallback, you shrink. You start tolerating her absence, excusing her inconsistencies, and filtering your truth so she doesn't walk away. This is not love, it's convenience. Inconvenience never inspires respect. Consider Paul, a man in his late 40s. He spent months answering late-night calls from a younger woman. She cried about other men, disappeared for days, then returned when lonely. Paul thought his constant support would eventually win her. Instead, she saw him as her safe place, a comfort, not a partner. The moment he stopped picking up, the dynamic shifted. For the first time, she realized his presence was not guaranteed, and her respect grew. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." A Stoic man remembers that his energy is a privilege, not a crutch for someone else's instability. If she only reaches out when she's sad, if she avoids commitment while draining your time, you must step back. Respect is not earned by being endlessly available. It is commanded by being selective with your presence. Epictetus reminded us, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Being her backup plan does the opposite, pulls you down, makes you smaller, and erodes your center. A man who values himself does not remain in the shadows, waiting for scraps of affection. He sets boundaries, and by doing so, he regains his power. So withdraw quietly. Do not argue. Do not explain. Simply stop offering yourself as the option she turns to when real love is absent. Because women don't regret losing the man who was always there. They regret losing the man who valued himself enough to walk away. One of the most common traps older men fall into is losing their mission for a woman. At first, it feels harmless, skipping a workout, postponing a goal, or changing routines to match hers. Slowly, without realizing it, your focus shifts. She becomes the center of your world, and your purpose fades into the background. What once made you magnetic begins to disappear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." A man without direction is forgettable. The strength that drew her to you, discipline, purpose, movement, weakens when you trade it for comfort. May enjoy the attention for a moment, but in time, she loses respect. Because no woman wants to become your mission. She wants to feel safe inside a man who is already on one. Consider Jordan, a successful executive in his mid-40s. He met a younger woman. He slowly began to compromise. He skipped business trips, delayed investments, and adjusted his schedule to fit hers. To outsiders, it looked romantic. But inside, he lost his edge. And eventually, he lost her. Not because he failed, but because he stopped being the man she was first drawn to, the man with fire, direction, and purpose. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And nothing wastes life more than abandoning your mission for fleeting affection." A grounded man knows his work, his discipline, his path are not negotiable. Love should complement your direction, not replace it. Epictetus taught, first say, "To yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." This is the heart of masculine presence. You do not trade your vision for approval. Stay the course. Train when you don't feel like it. Invest in your growth and protect your time. If she is the right woman, she will respect this. If not, she will leave on that is still a victory, because you kept yourself. So never confuse love with surrender. Stay on mission. Build. Lead. Grow. The man who holds to his purpose will always command respect, whether she stays or not. A younger woman may test you in many ways. She flirts and withdraws, criticizes your habits, or tells you that you'd be more attractive if you changed. Many men panic at these tests. They bend, adjust, and try harder to please. But the truth is, she doesn't want a puppet, she wants a rock. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do." That's what being free means. When you stay unmoved by her moods, you show strength. The moment you adapt your identity to keep her happy, attraction begins to fade. Women don't trust what they can control. They trust the man who respects himself enough to hold his ground. Consider Drew, a man in his 50s. His younger partner teased, "You'd be hotter if you dressed younger." Years ago, he would have rushed to change. But this time, he simply smiled and replied, "I like the way I move." He didn't flinch. He didn't defend. And within days, she leaned back in, not because he agreed, but because he didn't. She felt the weight of a man who doesn't. Ben Epictetus advised, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Emotional leadership isn't about controlling her, it's about controlling yourself. If she becomes moody, you remain calm. If she flirts to provoke, you don't chase. If she withdraws, you don't collapse. You show her that your presence is steady, and that steadiness is what commands respect. Seneca reminded us, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Her tests are not punishments, they are opportunities to reveal your strength. Each time you stay centered, she sees you not as another man trying to win her, but as a mountain she cannot shake. And that paradoxically is what makes her feel safe. So don't perform, don't wobble. Stand as the rock, calm, grounded, unshakable. Because while a puppet entertains for a night, a rock is remembered for a lifetime. One of the most dangerous illusions older men carry when dating younger women is this: if I provide enough money, comfort, gifts, she will stay. But you cannot buy true attention. You can only command it. The moment you try to purchase her interest, you reveal insecurity. Insecurity never inspires respect. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Real presence doesn't need to be purchased, it is felt. A Stoic man shows his value through his character, his direction, and his calm authority. When you believe you must spend to be valued, you have already surrendered your edge. Consider Dan, a man in his 50s who met a younger woman at a networking event. She was charming and used to men competing for her attention. Most tried to impress with money or favors. Dan didn't. He set clear plans, lived by his schedule, and never overextended. At first, She tested him slow replies, little games, but Dan didn't chase. He stayed grounded. Soon, she leaned toward him. Not because he gave more, but because he gave less. She respected his restraint. Seneca reminded us, the greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. A man who doesn't crave validation through spending commands. Far more power than one who buys affection. His gifts fade, but presence lingers. A younger woman may enjoy being spoiled, but what holds her attention is a man who values his time and energy as much as his money. Epictetus said, if you wish to be good, first believe you are bad. This is humility acknowledging that trying to buy affection comes from fear. When you confront that fear and live instead with quiet strength, you give her something no gift can replace. A man who cannot be bought.
So don't pay for her presence. Command her attention.
Don't drown her in gifts. Her and your time. Because the men who spend to keep her may win a night. But the man who leads with restraint earns something deeper. Respect. Older men often forget one of their greatest strengths: depth. Years of living, scars, lessons, and wisdom earned through trial and error. Yet many give it away too soon. A young woman smiles, shows interest, and suddenly they open the vault sharing stories, fears, and everything they carry inside. But true connection is not built on how much you reveal. It is built on what she has earned the right to know. Epictetus advised, if you wish to be good, first believe you are bad. Other words, humility is restraint. Do not mistake vulnerability for wisdom. Revealing your soul too quickly is not intimacy, is pressure. But what she values is not that you pour everything out, but that you guard it until she proves she can handle it. Imagine Mark, a man in his 50s, early in dating a younger woman. She pushed for deep stories about childhood, trauma, philosophy. Instead of opening completely, Mark turned the question around. He asked, how do you usually handle conflict? He watched not just her answer, but her behavior. Only after she showed steadiness and integrity did he open up. And when he did, it landed with weight, because now she had earned it. Seneca said, as is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is. The same is true for intimacy. It is not about how fast you get deep, it is about how real it feels when you do. Depth revealed too soon becomes performance. Depth revealed with patience becomes connection. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Protect your inner world. Your wisdom is not a prize for beauty or charm. It is a treasure to be shared with those strong enough to carry it. A woman of maturity will respect the boundaries. One who is not ready will lose interest. That is a filter, not a loss. So guard your depth. Share it when it matters, not when it flatters, because a Stoic man knows that what is rare has value, and the man who protects his inner world remains powerful even in love. Attraction doesn't collapse because you fail to impress, it collapses when you stop leading. Many older men, eager to please a younger woman, slip into performance. They plan extravagant dates, buy expensive gifts, or carefully craft compliments. But the more you try to impress, the more you give away your authority. You are no longer the frame she is, Marcus Aurelius warned. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do. That's what being free means. A free man does not chase admiration. He leads with calm confidence. The moment you shift from leading to performing, you become reactive, waiting for approval instead of embodying direction. Picture meeting her for coffee. Most men start showcasing themselves, career stories, travels, wealth. But the Stoic man does the opposite. He sits with ease, listens deeply, and asks about her values. He isn't trying to win her attention. He is observing whether she is worthy of his. That stillness, that decisiveness, is what makes her lean in. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Don't need polished lines. You don't need to prove you are interesting. You simply need to be grounded. A younger woman, used to chaotic attention from men her age, will notice instantly when you remain calm and unshaken. Consider Drew again, now wiser from past mistakes. His younger partner once tested him, saying, "You'd be more attractive." If you changed your style, the old Drew would have scrambled to adapt, but this time he just smiled. "I like the way I move. No defense, no performance." And instead of losing her, he earned her respect. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Craving her admiration weakens you. Living from your mission strengthens you. Women may enjoy performers for a night, but they remember leaders. For a lifetime, do not try to impress. Lead with presence. Be the rock she cannot shake. A younger woman may pull you into fantasy quickly. She's vibrant, magnetic, full of charm. But if you rush to imagine a lifetime with her, you stop observing who she really is. You see only the dream, not the reality. And when the dream fades, the disappointment is sharper than the truth ever was. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The pain of relationships often comes less from what happens and more from the illusions we build. A Stoic man stays present. He doesn't leap into fantasies of forever. He watches carefully, letting her actions reveal her character. Consider Dean, a successful man in his 50s. After only weeks with a younger woman, he imagined vacations, marriage, even changing his lifestyle for her. But she was inconsistent affectionate one day, distant the next. When she disappeared, Dean wasn't grieving her. He was grieving the castle he built in his mind. His loss was not of a woman, but of an illusion. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Wasting months on fantasy is a theft of your most valuable resource, time. Presence, on the other hand, allows you to see clearly. You don't excuse red flags. You don't minimize immaturity. You recognize reality and act accordingly. Epictetus reminded us, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. If you're a man of discipline and clarity, live that way. Date with your eyes open, not your imagination closed. Let her earn her place through consistency, not through charm alone. So do not project too far ahead. Stay grounded, stay watchful. For the man who chooses presence over fantasy will never lose himself. He will only lose illusions.